Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the AAS YouTube channel. This is going to be the good stuff. This is about the AAS 236 meeting coming up in June, and it's also a joint meeting with the Laboratory Astrophysics Division, LAD. And I am super happy today to have Rachel Smith with us. Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
And Rachel is the secretary of LAD. When did you start that position?
I started this last year, right after the business meeting of the last summer meeting.
What does the secretary do?
Yeah, the secretary does a lot of things. The secretary organizes. We've been doing virtual meetings with the committee, and we do that every month, and have been doing that with the executive committee, which is great to stay connected and to keep going with our moving LAD forward, try to increase membership and reach out to the community. There's a whole lot of things, communicating with the AAS. I went to also participated in the leadership meeting in last October, which was great to meet the officers of the AAS. That was really interesting and very nice to connect that way. Yeah, and just trying to think of ways, it's really nice to be in this position to think of ways of connecting laboratory astrophysics to observational astronomy in, making good connections, and as well as theoretical studies. And I'm mostly an observer, so it's been a lot of fun.
Your background would indicate that. So let me ask, given that, what do you do for research?
So I study forming stars, young stellar objects, and specifically looking at the chemistry of the gas around these stars. And behind me in this virtual image, which keeps me excited about research since I can't go to the telescope now, is the infrared research, the infrared telescope facility, sorry, on Mauna Kea, where I've been doing some observations of massive YSOs, young stellar objects. And I'm looking now at the carbon chemistry through high resolution observations of CO, carbon monoxide. And one of the projects I have is actually in collaboration with Dr. Murugudapati at JPL, which is doing experiments. So he's leading some experiments to look at interstellar ice analogs in connection with the observations to try to get a better understanding of the carbon chemistry around these objects. And this involves undergraduate students of mine from Appalachian State University, and has been a really great opportunity to have this interdisciplinary work. So trying to get that connection. So this research is really fun to get these observations as well as connect better to the laboratory side of things.
Cool. And those of you who are curious, we do have an interview with Murthy, and I'll put that link in the video description below. So Rachel, how did you get into observational YSOs?
Well, yeah, this was part of my thesis at UCLA, and so kind of started that way, looking at low mass young stellar objects, and these were observed by a current collaborator of mine, Klaus Pontoppidan, who's at Space Telescope when he was at Caltech, and looking at these low mass stars at very high resolution. So I started working on that with oxygen, and worked with UCLA, worked with Ed Young and Mark Morris. And so it was kind of interdisciplinary then, because it connected to solar system phenomena, which was really interesting to me. And so that connecting that chemistry with the observations has always been interesting. And so now I've taken that to look at more massive YSOs and looking at the carbon and trying to look at other molecules other than CO, and also in different phases, so ice and gas. And so really trying to understand these detailed chemical pathways. And so it started at UCLA, and then I did, before I got my current position in North Carolina, I did a kind of a brief postdoc, because it was about maybe 6 months of a postdoc at Caltech in 2011, and then I moved here for my current position. So that was with Jeff Blake. And so we started that work with Keck, and now he's a collaborator now too with the IRTF observations, as well as some Keck data that we're working on.
Very cool, very cool. So when you were doing this as a grad student, as a postdoc, did LAD exist?
Well, so LAD started in 2012, so it did not exist. So I graduated in 2011, right? So just a year before LAD.
Okay, so LAD is is young for a division.
But yeah, but the interest in connecting, I would say that from my perspective, at least, the interest in interdisciplinary work has grown. And when, I was a grad student, there was the NASA Origins program that was really focused on interdisciplinary work. So I think that interest has been there for many years, and connecting these laboratory components with theoretical modeling with observations has been there. And so LAD is a great is kind of a great vehicle to continue that on a more officialized platform, I guess. And so I think it's a great time for LAD to be around. And but the work, that interdisciplinary interest, is out there in the community.
Cool. How many members do you think are in LAD currently?
Well, I can check that number. I would say it's right around 200 maybe now. I'd have to check, though. It's on the website.
It's okay.
If you want.
Estimate is just fine. So it's gone from 0 to 200. And
yes, it's well, yeah. Before it existed, it was 0, and then
yeah.
it's about 200. Yeah. So we're always, as a fairly young subdivision, I think boosting that membership is pretty key.
Cool. So what are some of the ways that you try and attract new members?
Yeah, so we had all sorts of ways we were going to do this summer, including a reception for new members, and trying to incentivize membership by just at least meeting with people. But that has changed a bit, of course, now that we're virtual. But one thought we had, we certainly try to reach out to the community by email, and then we had, a reception idea that we actually had put it together up to the point of getting a menu together for the reception. And then, of course, we'll move that to next summer. But it's a challenge. I mean, we're working with the AAS to try to figure out good ways to incentivize membership. The cost is pretty low. It's between $5 and $20 depending on the stage of a person's career. So like students are around $5, and then goes up to about $20 a year. So but it's more about just supporting the community and trying to get a community together to promote this type of research, to promote laboratory astrophysics, and also promote those interdisciplinary studies. And so it's great for people to join and support LAD in those endeavors. So we're trying to think of new ways. We had at the meetings, and we're just still kind of trying to figure out good ways to get more people to join. Okay.
Let me ask the what's in it for me question. So if I join LAD, what are some of the benefits to me as a graduate student or a postdoc or a junior person, even a senior person? What are some of the advantages to people to join LAD?
Yeah, so we had I'll say we had a lot of discussions about this, about trying to not limit what non-members get. My feeling is we should have more things just for members. It's a little hard to do that when we have so few members. So some bigger divisions are able to have exclusive access, say, to a newsletter, or exclusive access to lists of collaborators potentially. But now that people have been virtual and been able to connect for a long time. It's not just now with COVID out there. So the question is, it's a difficult question to answer about what's in it for you, because you could say, well, I could connect to laboratory astrophysics researchers without LAD, and that is theoretically true. It's true, you could. However, it could be harder. I mean, we've talked a lot about it as a committee, the executive committee, because when, I absolutely think that, that question is a really good one, is why join? And if, the cost is fairly low. It's not necessarily prohibitive. It's not prohibitive necessarily for people. It could maybe be for a student, but people choose where they spend their money. But why join is mostly right now to support the community. And while that sounds maybe not a great personal incentive necessarily, it actually is, because as we grow, we'll have more ability to give members more than we are now. And so I think more than kind of what's in it for me question is more about, okay, I'm going to join, I'll spend the $5 to $20 depending on who you are, and your stage of career, and support the community, grow those numbers, and then we can have more of a presence at AAS meetings, and hopefully someday have our own meeting. And then what's in it for a person to join is reduced reduced costs to go to the meeting and have their lab promoted on the website. We're a little short staffed on being able to grow the lab website necessarily. We're working on all of that too. And I've been only doing it for a year with the executive committee. So these things take a lot of time, and everyone has these other jobs like me. So we can't do it full time. But yeah, I think it's a great question. And I think it's a hard one for us to address right now as such a small division. But as we grow and
I'll offer one out there for all you graduate students and postdocs, right? If you, the nice thing about a young division is it offers a lot of growth opportunity, right? It's
That's right.
Not very old.
That's right.
It's been here 100 years. So it's
and the reception that we had planned was really for new early career. Anyone could come, but it was really for early career scientists to meet people in laboratory astrophysics, to see the community, and to try to get them to understand the importance and get excited about a laboratory astrophysics division. So we were going to do that in person, and so that will just push off. Maybe we'll have something at the winter meeting too coming up, which is still in the planning phases. But we'll definitely have it at the next summer. But just this idea of community, and it's a hard one to address, I think, too, because everyone now, certainly more so than when I was in grad school, is connected online, and you can get anywhere in the world in half a second, right? And I can connect with someone across the world without a problem. So I don't need necessarily to have a division to do that for me. However, I know from personal experience that making those personal connections, going to lab meetings, knowing the people in lab really does help and really does personalize your role, I think, as a scientist, if that makes any sense. And so I think it's important to try to emphasize that when this idea of community is different now than it was 10 years ago. Right? Because we have these platforms, we have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and email, and of course, and the phone that is your cell phone. So.
Sure, but it could be, we were all grad students and first-time postdocs at one point. Mm-hmm. It can be a little intimidating to just cold call
a
scary person like the LAD secretary.
It's I'm super scary. That's true. Yeah, my human skin.
It helps break down barriers a bit. Right?
What's that?
It helps break down the barriers to have these meetings and to have this network.
Oh, no, absolutely. I'm a big advocate for going to meetings. Everyone who knows me knows that I do try to go to different meetings, and especially, I'm involved in the Lunar and Planetary Science Conference and involved in the Meteoritical Society Conference, and I think it's really important to have interdisciplinary conferences, like go to the meteorite, support the meteorite divisions and support the planetary scientists and support astrophysics and support laboratory. And then of course you have to find the money to go to all these conferences. But, it's been possible for the most part since in grad school, my advisor was supportive in sending me to conferences, and I've had some grants, I've been able to do it. But I really think going in person and I guess, I would want to emphasize to people and young career and early career young students that we're all just people. Nobody knows everything, in spite of what they may tell you or you may think. And we're all excited about science. And so,
yep.
Feel that you can reach out. And when students approach me to work with me, like especially undergraduates, because Appalachian State is an undergraduate focused university. Okay. And they approach me, and the ones who really, I tell them, it's great that you do this. So a lot of them cold email, mostly it's email. They'll email me, and some will call me, and they you have to do that, and you have to be proactive. And I did that, and it's harder for some people than others, but the meetings, the conferences, give you that opportunity where you can kind of hang back a little bit and then meet someone. And it's definitely an easier place to do that than just being, emailing or calling someone on the phone. So yeah, I think being part of this community and understanding the importance of having just this kind of web of people that you build around you, it will help you in the long run. Like the connections I've made since I was a first-year grad student, I still have today, and have helped shape my entire career. I mean, these are key. Who you know, I hate to sound all Hollywood about this, but it's kind of like who you know really matters, no matter what field you're in.
Right.
Oh, I don't want to say any field, but certainly in science, as well as other, fields where where you work in collaborative groups. And people need to know you, I think, a little bit in order to get some opportunities. So I would just encourage young people to think about LAD. And also LAD really lends itself well to interdisciplinary work. So if you're an observer, I'm an observer, LAD is so important. Laboratory astrophysics is so important for interpreting observations. And a theorist is so important to have theorists join LAD to incorporate those interpretations. I mean, we really have to build up an understanding of stuff. You need to have all of that. So.
Yeah, and experimentalists, right?
Yeah, well, the laboratory, right. So experimentalists, observers, and theorists have to come together. And I think LAD provides a great platform for that.
Yep, absolutely. Currently LAD meetings are tied to the AAS, just like it is for AAS 236. And I think LAD did that last winter meeting as well, AAS 235. So this is all Incubator.
I mean, for all the meetings, LAD has always been connected, to the AAS meetings,
Awesome. So just looping back a little bit on the research side of the house, what do you see as some of the big drivers going forward for laboratory astrophysics?
What do you mean by
drivers? Are there particular fields that are opening up? Is for example, exoplanets? Are people doing
I see.
Involving laboratory astrophysics there? How about in the interstellar medium? Is there new facilities coming online? Is there new?
Yeah, I might not be the best person to know those at my fingertips type answers, since I'm not totally infused in all the laboratory experimental facilities yet, at least since I mostly do observations. But certainly exoplanets, I mean, with JWST coming, hopefully, launching soon, experimental work related to exoplanetary atmospheres and even our own solar system are going to be very much needed.
Europa.
I mean, I actually, interstellar media, I would say, I mean, honestly, I think that any interest in anything that laboratory astrophysics can push forward as far as the understanding of the universe, whether it's interstellar medium, protoplanetary systems, exoplanets, what have you, that's going to be useful, both for JWST observations as well as new ground-based observatories, wherever those may be. So yeah, I mean, I guess, huh?
The future is bright.
Yeah, I guess, or dark, as you
well.
So I guess I would have to give, my best answer will be a more generalized one, in that I wouldn't limit the future of astrophysics to any one type of discipline, and just say that pushing forward all of these interests is really useful.
Awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to share as a sort of a sign off to share about LAD with potential new members?
Aside from encouraging them to join.
Yeah, I'll do it. Join LAD.
Yeah, join LAD. Yeah, I understand that, especially now that we're all remote. So as an astronomer, many astronomers, you people watching this know, is that we're very good at working remotely and working on our laptops and being in front of a screen all day. So not much has changed that way in my life as far as being at home. And I will say we get a lot coming at us as, join this, join that. And it starts to all blend together, especially now it may feel that way with emails. Our email shot up by
exploding
something. So I guess just, revisiting that importance of a community, the scientific community needs to, is not self-sustaining. It needs support. It needs membership, and really encouraging, especially graduates, new graduates, early career, and even later career, to be honest, to support this community, because it doesn't just happen by itself. And in order to grow the division, to have our own meetings and not necessarily be linked to AAS. You know, we could have our own meetings like DPS does or
Right.
HEAD does, and that would be great. And then we could have more of a platform to share our science and more resources. And that's ultimately what we all want, right? Is more opportunity to share our work, have resources to do the work, and have a great community of scientists to work with. And joining LAD really offers you that opportunity to grow. So looking ahead of even just a few years down the line, it's important to know that. And so I would just emphasize that and join us. We're really nice people. We're not usually that terrible. So yeah, and I really look forward to seeing everyone in person. I have to say it's quite a bit disappointing. This meeting in Madison was one I was really looking forward to. And so amongst all the other things that were canceled, this was a big kind of a one that is disappointing more than some of the others. And so I really look forward to seeing everyone in Phoenix in the winter, as well as in Anchorage. We'll take a nice long flight, hopefully without masks at that point, to Anchorage.
Cool.
But yeah, in the summer. So yeah, I hope people join and see and come to the virtual meeting and see our talks and, you know, participate as much as you can. And it's an experiment. And so I think it's great that the AAS is so ambitious in having this meeting be virtual like it is. So you got to try.
Cool. All right. Rachel, yeah. I want to thank you very much for your time this afternoon and talk about your research in the Laboratory Astrophysics Division.
You are so welcome. And I look forward to seeing people virtually and very soon in a few months in person. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody. See you on the next one.
Bye.